And now, take a look at another unusual situation in the Kursk region. Ukrainian drone operators destroy heavy equipment right in the middle of the road. Look, the vehicle has almost completely blocked the path and continues to detonate. Shortly after, the movement of an armored vehicle is detected. The crew realizes that a Ukrainian kamikaze drone is hunting them. They quickly begin reversing and stop between a pile of charred metal that was once a vehicle and an APC, which had nearly flipped over and gotten stuck on the roadside. Look, you can clearly see how 4 Russian soldiers quickly abandon the vehicle and flee from the open area to the greenery near the road. The kamikaze drone strikes the abandoned armored vehicle, igniting a fire. Furthermore, something unexpected occurs. The flames begin to spread to the APC that is sitting on the roadside. The explosion caused by the detonation of shells that were likely inside the APC also destroys it. The Russians can be said to have helped the Ukrainian drone kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's almost 6 in the morning, and this car, filled with Russian assault troops, is moving across an open field, navigating through craters left by artillery shells. They are heading toward Ukrainian positions located here, and are also setting up defenses in the partially intact structures. But look at the field. They're undeterred by the fact that it's most likely mined and under the fire control of artillery, which is now beginning to target them. The shells explode nearby but miss their target. The vehicle was almost at its destination when an anti-tank mine suddenly shattered all of the Russians' plans. Look, just a moment before the explosion, you can see that there were less than 100 meters left to the Ukrainian trenches. Ten minutes later, another car was spotted attempting to pass nearby via a different route, but heading toward the same target. The drone operator closely monitors it. Inside the vehicle are 6 stormtroopers. Note that the car is missing its doors, as they deliberately removed them to exit the vehicle quickly in case of danger. To test their ability to react swiftly to threats, a kamikaze drone is deployed. The first APC is blown up by an anti-tank mine. Another APC almost reached its target, driving up close to the Ukrainian trenches. However, it too was met with a hidden mine. The explosion triggers an immediate detonation that utterly destroys the vehicle. From the other flank, a tank with a mine plow breaks through the tree line, charred from shelling. These 3 vehicles have fared worse. However, after hitting a few mines, the plow of the tank can't take it anymore, and on the next mine, the tank itself is blown to pieces. The advance continues, but it is completely thwarted by preset mines. Just look at the trouble this tank has gotten itself into. The remaining group started retreating, with the infantry scattering into the nearby greenery. One of the retreating tanks had the worst luck. Just look at the dense minefield it encountered. There were as many as 5 explosions. Ukrainian forces are not only repelling Russian assaults involving various amounts of equipment. An important task is the destruction of logistics and different types of weaponry being used behind the front lines. The Russians brought a truck loaded with shells, intended for the nearby 2S-7 self-propelled artillery system. However, HIMARS disrupted their logistical efforts. The cluster munition explodes, and in just a moment, a powerful explosion. As a result, the ammunition truck was literally vaporized, and the artillery system sustained significant damage, making it unlikely to perform its functions in the near future. A drone is observing the relocation of a BM-27 Uragan. The vehicle covers a considerable distance and eventually halts in a dense grove of trees. Perhaps the camouflage would have worked in a different scenario, but not this time. The same fate befell a radar station that the Russians had positioned near the ruins of a destroyed building. This radar system usually operates in tandem with the SA-10 Grumble surface-to-air missile system. It's a costly and rare target, and a drone is already on its way to destroy it. Negligence and camouflage has played a cruel trick on the equipment. Nearby, several 122mm M1963 howitzers were spotted. The first one was destroyed. The second is located near industrial buildings. A precise strike, and the target is hit. Not only stationary targets are being destroyed, such as this SA-11 Gadfly surface-to-air missile system. Another drone continued to carry out its mission. Soon after, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the Russians finally located and dispatched an IFV. However, this was no longer a surprise, and the Ukrainian forces deployed a drone that struck the vehicle. Almost immediately, the IFV came to a halt, and the Russian soldiers abandoned it, fleeing in different directions. Meanwhile, another drone was launched to finish off the IFV. In their panic, the Russians, as usual, left the vehicle's doors open, which allowed for a more efficient use of drones to destroy the machine. The third attempt ended in complete failure, as even the lightly armored vehicle, with various modifications against drones, was ineffective. The abandoned IFV was left to burn. Perhaps the secret to success lies in the quantity of equipment? Let's find out by examining the next situation. The assault, involving more than 5 vehicles, began under the cover of smoke screens. Russian equipment, under artillery fire, tries to advance toward the Ukrainian stronghold. In addition to the artillery fire, drones joined the resistance. One of them heads for a frontal collision with a turtle tank, whose armor is further reinforced with metal shields, and a mine-clearing plow is mounted at the front. That didn't save it from being destroyed. Look at this hit and the explosion from another drone that was adjusting the artillery fire. Notice how high the turret flew. The column began to stretch out and scatter in different directions. The destroyed equipment stands motionless. A kamikaze drone catches up to another IFV. Look from another angle. Direct hit. A fire breaks out, forcing the vehicle to stop. This vehicle had surged ahead and managed to advance further, but artillery was targeting it. A major mistake was the decision to start turning around. The trees on both sides prevented a quick maneuver, leaving it stuck in place. This gave the artillery time to take aim and destroy the armored vehicle. The other members of the group veered off the field and began wandering through the streets of a destroyed village. But the buildings didn't give them any advantage against the drones. The rest were stopped by kamikaze drones near the railway and on the outskirts. Among the 2 destroyed targets, a whole one is found. An RPG hits, and the tank goes up in flames. From a high altitude, it would be impossible to distinguish the remains of a tank from a working combat vehicle, but experienced pilots carefully examine the battlefield and find an enemy tank hiding at an intersection. Several kamikaze drones have flown in to put a stop to the Russian attack. The first strike hit the already burned vehicle, but the second hit the survivor's ammunition, raising a fireball of explosion. The problems with the signal from the Ukrainian FPV are not accidental. The enemy's EW works perfectly and jams the drones. but the Mavic detects the hit. On the inertia of the flight, the Ukrainian FPV managed to hit the target. Strikes from the flank and right into the hatch blow apart the enemy hull. There's no point in evacuating this vehicle. It's beyond repair. A precision drone strikes on the occupant's APC with camouflage. And the protective mesh is burning up nicely too. The Russian T-80 is firing, but does not notice that the Ukrainian drone is already approaching from the rear. The armor there cannot withstand the impact. As well as near the hatch in front. If the rear is additionally protected, there are few vulnerable areas. They are small. You need considerable experience for such jewelry work. But this experience helps to find well-camouflaged and hidden units of the occupier's equipment and fry them. A column of Russians is advancing. The first tank that steps on a mine forces the whole column to slow down. Next, we see two precision drone strikes at once. The invaders' battle order is disrupted, but their advance continues. The Russian columns split up. The drone hits a tank, but its armor withstands the impact. The invading tanks are already near the deployment site. They're moving down the road toward the wooded area. The first tank is hit by a mine. A Russian tank takes down a tree with a cannon shot. A kamikaze drone stops the target with a precision hit. And the second drone drops an explosive directly onto the tank's turret. But this is only the beginning. The Russians turned their vehicles around to retreat, but the AFU didn't let them go. The Russian tank could not have expected such a sensational finale. This is the kind of fire show a small Ukrainian drone can put on. Scattered pieces of the tank are left to burn on foreign soil. Ukrainian drones knew where to look for the enemy. They struck when the vehicles were moving between the trees of the forest plantation. First, they hit it from the rear, and then they finished it off. The powerful explosion means that a large stock of Russian munitions was eliminated. Ukrainian kamikaze drones hunted down single targets. Without replenishment of ammunition, and with the logistics cut off, the occupiers' offensive stalled. While this target burns, a Ukrainian kamikaze drone hunts the other one. A Ukrainian drone spotted a Russian self-propelled gun. It was in a hiding place, but it was tracked down and burned. That was Giacintius. Look at it from another angle. You'll agree that it explodes very spectacularly. You can see those huge puffs of smoke from miles away. The guns are especially dangerous because they are long range, have a large caliber, and it is extremely difficult to calculate their location before firing. But once they're detected, HIMARS is easily dealt with. The Russians' counter-battery radar does not fire shells or missiles. Kamikaze drones cannot reach it because of the EW, but the Mavics transmit the coordinates to the missile forces, and these units pour fire on the area. The target is hit. Ukrainian intelligence has spotted an important target in action and relayed the coordinates to HIMARS. The enemy is tracked to the storage location and destroyed with long-range missiles. Russians often use mounted structures on their vehicles. These grids are cheap and easy to install. When a drone is hit, most of the explosive energy does not reach the target. To counter this, the AFU uses several tactics. This is the depletion of the Russian defense. Several hits in one area first break through the defense and then the body of the occupier's equipment. Experienced pilots also know where these structures are not. A steep turn and a hit. The tank doesn't decide to continue on the open road and stops on the side of the road. It now becomes an easy target for the Ukrainian drone. The first hit doesn't cause the fire, and the most experienced pilots can hit the hatch of a Russian tank. Now the fire is blazing inside the Russian tin can. Moments later, bright flames engulf it and turn it into atoms. Sometimes, after the first hit, Russian vehicles scatter a sheaf of sparks and lose control. After such an accident, the APC still needs to be finished off. To do this, a kamikaze drone aims precisely at the empty compartment for landing troops. An explosion from the inside tears the APC apart. Ukrainian Mavics recorded another Russian assault. The equipment was destroyed on the far outskirts. The drones are very small and invisible at a distance. Sometimes one hit is not enough to destroy it, but it is enough to stop the enemy. After that, the kamikaze drone gets enough time to maneuver. The Russians made a breakthrough with 2 combat units. The vehicles moved along a track. This allowed the vehicles to reach high speed. But an AFU drone shot down the second unit. A fire broke out. There's information about another lone target. A group of Ukrainian kamikaze drones are flying in after it. It had a chance to get to the shelter unharmed. First Ukrainian drone hit, but did not penetrate the armor. However, the occupiers slowed down. The second strike also fails to penetrate the armor. Immediately after that, the tank hits a mine, but still remains on the move. This target was not easy for the AFU. Now this walking smoke bomb is trying to escape. But at full speed, it is met by several Ukrainian mines. Still, they managed to stop the tank. All that's left is to finish it off. The kamikaze drone successfully copes with this task and gives us spectacular fireworks. After the blow, only scattered pieces of metal were left. The other part of the column was stopped by mines. The tank was able to withstand the first impact, but after the second one, the fire started. While the tank is burning, another APC hits a mine. 2 drones started to kill it at once at the same time. The synchronized strike causes a fire. We see a pile of ammunition inside, which intensifies the flames. At the same time, passing through a wooded area, the first tank hits a mine. The 3 targets move deeper. There they are met by artillery. And of course, mine again. The APC felt its power. Ukrainian drones are catching up with the enemy's equipment at full speed.